Belgian nationals. Here we go. First qualifiers boulder was a sketchy slab, which wasn't too hard difficulty wise, but it was definitely possible to make some mistakes and waste some attempts on it. I totally forgot about the zone in the middle of it because it was a tiny hold and you don't really use the zone. Yeah, I took my time. I was pretty nervous because it was the first boulder of the comp and I was pretty cold, honestly. The gym was like 40 degrees, but I was happy to get it done on the flash attempt and get to go back into ISO and reset. Setting up for the finish, I thought it was completely blocked and I was going to have to use my thumb on the red hold, but it turned out that it wasn't blocked at all and it was good, which was a nice surprise. Boulder 2 was another slab, which I really appreciated because sometimes I feel like the slabs are neglected in comps, and if you know me, you know that slab climbing is my favorite type of climbing. I absolutely love standing on my feet. I feel like it's way cooler than people give it credit for. I think it can be really exciting to watch a super sketchy slab in like a final or something. This one was sketchy not only on your feet, but also on your hands because you had to press up on that big green volume, and the top was a couple of super small crimps that, honestly, I felt really cold on. But yeah, this one was a little harder, so I was very happy to flash. Boulder number 3 finally was a power boulder. I was honestly pretty cold coming out to this one after a lot of time sitting in ISO after the first 2 slabs and not too much pulling for the start of the competition. I found a knee bar in the middle, which I don't think was intended, but just helped me be a little more steady through this middle sequence. And then for the last move, you just had to commit out of a really uncomfortable position to hit the final pinch. At this point, I was feeling pretty confident and psyched after starting the round with 3 flashes. But that was very short-lived as I dropped the start a couple times on boulder number 4. I undershot the toe hook at first and then switched up my beta and tried to go for my hand around the volume, which I also undershot. And then finally on my 3rd attempt, I fully committed, jumped a little bit further, and stuck around the corner of the volume. The top of this boulder is a really unusual style of just volume wrestling, which is pretty common in competitions, but is kind of hard to train because I feel like you don't see it super often in a commercial setting. Definitely just got to take your time on these, and if anyone knows a good way to train for this style of just pure volume climbing, let me know. I was definitely getting a little bit pumped at the top, and I definitely didn't want to have to try from the ground again and use more energy, so I just took my time and got it done. The start of Boulder 5 was pretty chill. It was supposed to be a paddle, but it felt like I could static it, so I decided to just play it safe and do it that way. And when I got to the top, I really wanted to find a way to use this yellow hold as an undercling to set up for the finish, but it wasn't really there, and eventually I went for it. Slipped off. That purple pinch was extremely greasy since I think this gym normally has a liquid chalk only policy, so I was not ready for it to be that greasy. Second go, I was still convinced there was something I could do to cheat the jump and press, which there really just wasn't, so I ended up going for the jump again and not squeezing hard enough again. So on my 3rd attempt, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Just campused over and committed to the jump, squeezed as hard as I could with my left hand to avoid slipping, and ended up getting it done. So the first finals boulder was the slab. I was a little nervous coming out in front of the big crowd and dropped the start a couple times trying to run into it before I realized that you could just statically pull yourself into that press, which was a little bit funny because when we were reading the boulder, we were all completely convinced that you were going to have to run in and press on the dual text. That way worked, but it was just a more low percentage way to do it. First attempt going at the zone, I tried to dynamically hop the feet over, which I think also could have worked, but it's a little low percentage since the volume was pretty slippery and the left toe I was going for was dual text and blocked. So second attempt, I went a little bit more statically and then moved the feet over to the right. When I was reading the boulder, I thought the top wasn't going to be too bad since these volumes were pretty big, but they were actually just ridiculously greasy. Like, it felt like I was standing on butter, so it was a lot harder than all of us thought. I spent a couple attempts trying to match my feet on the lower volume with my right palm on the highest volume, which felt good in the moment, but I actually think the right palm was taking weight off my feet, which made them even more likely to slip off of the greasy volume. And I spent a couple attempts trying this, getting over to the zone as time was running lower and lower, just hoping to not have a foot slip. Finally, I decided that something had to change, which I should have decided a little bit earlier. I'm a little unhappy that I spent 3 attempts trying the same thing. New idea was that I was going to put a toe hook on the right side of the big volume to pull myself over. And this actually felt pretty close. I was crimping the edge of the volume in position to stand up, but unfortunately just slipped again, and that was pretty much my best chance at getting the boulder done. I was running out of time after that, so I made another attempt with the clock running low, but ended up just rushing and having a slip. Boulder number 2 was an electric boulder, if you will, a coordination. I was kind of convinced I wanted to try to stop on the second hold in the paddle, but the route setters did a good job of making it so that that wasn't really a possibility. After 2 attempts, decided to go for the full paddle, and I think I ended up sticking it 4th go, which I was pretty happy with since I've been putting a lot of effort into these complex coordination moves. And then there was a big jump and foot stab to hold your body tension in at the end, which I did first try after sticking the zone and managed to get a quick top, which I was pretty psyched on. Boulder 3 was a pretty straightforward, or so I thought, straightforward power boulder. I felt pretty balanced in this bottom position, but this ended up being the most disappointing boulder of the comp for me. I decided to go completely statically through these slopers to get to the zone, even though I think paddling would have been possible too, but once I got to them, they felt good enough to just campus through and grab the zone, which was a pretty in-cut crimp. I wanted to cheat the boulder and go left-hand into this volume. That was my initial plan, but turns out that didn't work. The volume was like super slopey, so I did the intended boulder, which was to go double Gastons on here and lock off to the finish. And I just got completely stuck in this finish position, couldn't figure out how to get out of the position, and it turns out that if you just bump up higher on that hold, you can wrap it, and it's really good. Like the finish hold goes from feeling like nothing to feeling like something. So I wish I had taken a little bit more time to think about what I might be doing wrong, since the finish position felt honestly really hard to match. I felt dialed in on the start, but it just felt super difficult to match. On my second attempt, I tried getting my feet up on the sidewall to try to like get a knee bar in to match, which almost worked, but then my foot slipped, and after that I was just so pumped. but I had time for one last burn, so I went for it, hoping I could find some new beta at the top. The start was dialed enough at this point that I was able to get through it, even though I was super pumped. So my takeaway here is that if something just feels completely improbable, there's probably something that you're missing. So spending the little bit of extra time on the mats trying to find it can be extremely important. Boulder 4 was a pretty long power boulder, and again, when we all read the boulder together, we all thought it was going to be a jump and paddle through to the zone. I was super convinced on paddling all the way through to the zone, so I ended up spending my full 4 minutes trying that, and I found out afterwards that the best way to do it was just to stop in the middle of the move. But I had a couple of close goes and ended up just getting super tired and powered out. I think I need to work on my tunnel vision on moves like this and knowing when I should try something new. And that was a theme the whole comp. I'm definitely a bit disappointed to have not found this beta, but it's good to get the mistakes out of the way now. Overall, the Belgian National Championships was so fun. The boulders were amazing, the crowd was great, and I had a great time overall. Had some waffles after, too. I went to this comp with the goal of getting back into the comp mindset and getting back into climbing on a clock, which I haven't done in a while. And I definitely got a lot of experience in, did a lot of learning. So I'm psyched to get more into that comp mentality leading up to team trials, which is about a month and a half away now. If you enjoyed this analysis style video, let me know. I'm still trying to figure out what types of videos people enjoy the most, but yeah, if you like this, I'll definitely make more of these. It was super fun to make. Thanks for watching.